Hello Year 7, it's Miss Blundell. I'm going to be doing your 3D lesson. Equipment that you're going to need for this lesson, you're going to need your cardboard fish from last lesson, your pencil, a rubber, and you don't need to print this off, you just need to have a look at it. It's a document that's attached to this lesson, okay? So just have a little look at it. If you haven't got the cardboard fish from last lesson, one, because you've either lost it, or two, because you didn't do last lesson, you need to go back and redo it, okay? Or you need to do the lesson from before, because we're going to be continuing on with this today. Now, the reason I have this document attached to this lesson is because I wanted to give you an example of how you could draw the scales and the details on the fins, okay? Now, this one's the easiest. This is the middle, and this is the hardest. Now, if you really struggle with drawing, you can look at this one for inspiration. Now, I do want you to do scales on the whole of your fish, so you'll be doing the whole of the fish. But if you struggle, you can do bigger scales like this, okay? If you're alright at drawing, but you don't want something too complicated, you could do them a little bit smaller or the same size, and you can see the lines, the strokes on the fins are a little bit closer together and there's more of them, so you've got more detail compared to this one. If you're really quite confident with drawing, okay, and you'd like to challenge yourself, you've got this one down here, where as you can see, there's lots of little small scales, okay, and you've got all these different types of marks on the fins, so there's these longer lines and these shorter lines, meaning that you can add all these intricate details onto your fish, and that will get the highest levels, that sort of quality of work, okay? So, keep that where you can see it, whether you have a look at it before you start your drawing, if it's on your phone, or if you have got it printed out, you can have it next to you. And I'm just going to start off nice and lightly. You need to press lightly with a pencil, the same as you would with paper. If you make a mistake, you want to be able to rub it out, but also if you press too hard on cardboard, you'll puncture into the top layer and you can make a little hole, okay? So you need to be nice and careful. I'm just going to start by drawing the main detail. Now it's up to you how much of these little details you do. I'm going to add some in though. Up here, side, bring that round here, and then it's got a line going up the top. Okay, and there's my head. The next thing I'm going to be looking at is I want to start adding the scales, okay? So I'm just going to do a line like that. You can slightly change your drawing to the ones on here. These are just here for inspiration. And I'm just going to start by drawing lots of tiny little scales. Now, do you remember we've drawn these in lesson before, and a nice way to draw scales, just on a larger scale, you draw them in a line like this, and then in between these two scales you'll draw your next ones, okay, and they overlap each other like that, okay. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing here. So start off with the first line, and then I'm going in the middle of the scale, join to the next one to do the next line. So nice and small, and try and get them all the same size, because if you look at a real fish's skin, a lot of the scales are the same size. Okay. Nice and light, remember. That's gone a bit funny. So if you do make a mistake, you can just rub it out. Or I've gone too big there, so I'll just rub that out. And you'll just carry this on. Now when it comes to the fins, we'll get this back here. You can see all these details they've drawn and lines on this fin to make it look a bit more realistic. So I'm going to do the same. Like I said, it doesn't have to be exactly the same. You can just take influence from it. Okay. You could draw some little lines at the top. Same with the bottom. Think about the direction the lines are going, okay? And my fish is a bit of a different shape to this one, so I'm just going to take bits of inspiration from it. I don't want to sit on the camera and do every single scale because I want you guys to get on with your work, but you could do all the scales first before you move on to the fins. Okay, there we go. And then I might just make this a wiggly line down here. Add some lines in. Okay, and then when you finish the whole of the fish, you'll end up with something that looks a bit like this. So you can see I've added all of my details here. I've added the lines on here, and I've also added some lines onto the face. So for next lesson, you need to get to this point here. Now I don't want you to rush this. I want you to take your time and try and get your scales all the same size, alright? And really make sure you're not pressing too hard on your pencil because you don't want to have to start all over again. So we're going to be continuing with this again next lesson,